This episode is brought to you by Digital Nation. Don't miss the Digital as Usual Cyber Security Breakfast on October 9 at the Sofitel Brisbane. The event will unpack 3 of the biggest security risks facing organisations today: human behaviour, financial risk, and supply chain vulnerabilities. Explore the findings in the full Digital as Usual Cybersecurity 2025 report and find practical advice on how to stay secure. Head to the special reports section now at itnews.com.au and register for our Brisbane event today.
Hello and welcome to the IT News podcast. I'm your host, Kate Webber, Section Editor of Digital Nation. In today's episode, Damien O'Donnell, Chief Technology Officer at Insignia Financial, walks us through the company's technological undertakings, including consolidating its tech stack, plus insights on how it intends to become an AI-enabled company.
Insignia Financial is effectively the holding company or the listed company for quite a few brands. Some that listeners might recognise would be MLC, Bridges Financial Planning, Shadforth Financial Planning, ANZ P&I or Plum, and the Expand wrap platform. So a little bit of a holding company for all those product offerings with various different brands associated to them. I stepped into the role after working in another part of the business in technology in January. I had a fair bit of knowledge about the company and the products and the systems, which was a little bit of a hand as I stepped into the role, but lots of exciting times. We've done a lot of mergers and acquisitions over the last few years, and obviously data and technology is a key part of that, and we've acquired a lot of duplication of systems and tooling by those mergers and acquisitions, and we've got a great opportunity in front of us to really consolidate down onto target state technology systems and tooling post all that M&A activity. One of the really important aspects of technology is observability and knowing what the customers are doing and know what the applications are doing, and having common tooling for our technology teams to actually look at, observe, use, extract data, get insights out of, and those types of things. Really critical that we ensure that we have really good oversight onto the applications and what our customers are doing, and really critical in times of any issues that you're having or triaging any problems. We've had every flavour of observability tool over the years and certainly got quite a number of them during the mergers and acquisition sort of process. It was a really good opportunity to stand back and look at all the different flavours, and some of them were more akin to some of our more modern platforms and sort of systems, where some of them have been either sort of previous architecture decisions in those other businesses and for the size and scale that we're at that point in time. So we've probably had every major logging and observability platform over the last sort of 5 years that is in market. We'd chosen Elastic before some of the mergers and acquisition activities. So we were in the Expand platform, which is a wrap platform, as mentioned before, which is largely a superannuation and retirement system that is used mostly by financial planners because of the level of control that they can have over the product and the clients in that system. We were actually using it as part of that product suite. So we'd been using and investing into that one for quite a number of years now. And then as mergers and acquisitions occur, obviously there were competing products that were picked up as part of those mergers and acquisitions. They were stacked up against each other and assessed, and the Elastic product suite, but also the work that we've done in embedding it and really setting out a good op model behind it as well was seen as an advantage. One of the problems with duplication of technology is quite often they have their own op model that sits behind it, which is not optimized for a large group. Especially with mergers and acquisitions, there would be IT teams for specific tooling. From an M&A perspective, you want to put that size and scale together to make sure that you're getting best of breed and best bang for your buck, so to speak. And that was something that certainly happened to us during those mergers and acquisition process. So there was duplication of the op model as much as the tooling itself. We needed to consolidate that down. There were certain activities that the banks were performing from those M&A activities which just weren't there once we separated from them. And putting a good op model behind it is just as important as the tooling itself. So making sure people are using it consistently and to its full capabilities, and those teams are sufficiently skilled and trained to identify things quickly. We're in the process of consolidating down onto a Elastic technology stack for observability using some of the new open telemetry platform. It's got an amazing search capability in behind it as well. And pretty happy with where it landed. I'm a big advocate for open source technologies, and that's a really good example of something that is enterprise grade, but really sticks to some of those core principles of some of the open source systems and the community that forms around it.
I'm assuming stuff like this takes a bit of planning and foresight. So I was just wondering how it's been for you so far and when you really kicked it off.
Yeah, it's been a number of years. These types of activities do take quite a while to get momentum. There's a lot of change management involved. Everybody gets addicted to their tooling that they use all day, every day. It can become a very emotive subject if you're talking about replacing it. Even if it's better, it doesn't really matter. People just changes the journey. So when we knew it was going to be target state, we actually kicked off a new stream of work really to take it to the best it possibly could be. It probably took us about a year before it was really at the level of maturity that we needed, and really had all the characteristics of enterprise grade for everything that we're doing in the mergers and acquisition space. Lots of activities around, as I mentioned, change management and getting people used to the new tooling, seeing how easy it was to swap out that logging and observability from various different underlying systems that we're utilizing the capability. That is a pretty good process. The Elastic team and company have a good onboarding process there, but we needed to make sure that we had the op model in behind it as well. So we're still maturing that a little bit, but it's coming along pretty well, which is great, and gets used all day, every day by our teams to give really good insight into the observability that's required across the technology stack.
I was just wondering then, so far, what results have you seen since this implementation journey? It sounds like already you're getting some pretty good results.
One of the big aha moments, I guess you would call it, we did a large migration onto the Expand platform about a year ago now, actually last Easter, and we had the platform in place then from an observability perspective. And we did have some performance degradation on that system during that exercise, and doing large migrations of assets with extreme importance with people's superannuation life saving in there is extremely critical to making sure that we land it for the customers and, of course, safely as well. There was some performance degradation in that system as mentioned, and the observability platform was critical for identifying the issues in the system at that point in time, and not only identifying them and the root cause and providing some really quick, good insights, but also once it had been rectified or assumed to be rectified, it was also the tool that we were using to validate the outcome of that rectification and remediation. And we've used that as a benchmark and a baseline to keep a good eye on it since then. And yeah, critical for those types of things as people to understand really large, complicated IT systems. You can be chasing a needle in a haystack for a very long time without really good, quick insights, which it certainly gave us, which was great.
And I was just wondering if there were any other partners or tools that you have used or drawn on during this journey?
Not so much during the journey. We definitely partnered with Elastic themselves for professional services to ensure that we were really embedding it to the enterprise grade. We did a lot of the work ourselves with them, so we put our own resources in, which was useful from a getting up to speed with the tooling for what it was going to be when it lands. And so a lot of work there.
I was wondering how this particular project fits into the wider tech strategy and plans in place to become that AI-enabled company that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it fits in nicely. It's a good question. One of the key criteria for Insignia becoming an AI-enabled organisation is we have to have technology that is contemporary and really embracing a lot of that newer thinking and newer capability that is now available. Certainly having older technology that isn't being invested into or tooling that isn't being invested into is not going to be able to keep up with the pace of change with some of the AI capabilities that are now coming off the shelf. It doesn't really matter if it's machine learning or Gen AI or LLMs or agentic AI. You need more than likely cloud-enabled products and systems, and certainly Elastic are investing very heavily into their AI space, as all vendors are. They've put a lot of R&D into the vector database behind the platform, and it certainly shows, which is great. So we'll be consolidating down not just the observability platforms, but a whole bunch of systems onto target contemporary technologies to really unlock AI across our product suite. And there's various different types of AI, from just adopting something that's off the shelf, or maybe shaping something yourself, or even building something ourselves with a business partner to really unlock some of that capability. That'll be critical to do over the next couple of years, or we won't be able to leverage off some of the capabilities that's in market, and some of the hyperscalers are pushing into some of this stuff really quickly. That's important criteria for all our technology partnering and selection going forward.
And that moves perfectly into my next question, just on AI, really. Just with emerging technologies such as generative AI, and now it's all about agentic AI. What is next for you and your team?
We have a pretty bold ambition as set out by the Insignia FY 26 to 30 strategy, which is becoming an AI-enabled organisation. So the first place we started, one of the most important aspects of AI is really getting your data in a good position. Insignia Financial has a really unique set of data available to it from our businesses that I previously mentioned, and that is critical for enabling artificial intelligence. So we've put a really strong data platform in behind the scenes, really strong governance, both from a data perspective and an AI perspective. And we've done all of those things over the last couple of years. We've got a pretty solid history in AI. We were building our own models quite a number of years ago with some partners like Deakin University 3 or 4 years ago. So we've got some really good grounding there and some really good knowledge. And obviously that's been commoditized a lot more in the last couple of years with the rise of some of the hyperscalers and some of the really large providers in that space. Solid data and data structures and data capabilities, solid data governance and some solid AI governance, and with a bit of a heritage of probably more than most people realise around some of our own capabilities. We're really accelerating quickly into not just the adoption of existing commoditized AI, Hub Copilot as an example for our engineering crew, but also really augmenting business processes and really unlocking some of the capability that AI can offer. And as I mentioned, we've got some really unique data sets available to us with our product suites and all the different businesses under Insignia Financial. We'll be working at a domain level use case. We can really leverage off some of the capabilities in Bridges and Shadforth and what their financial planners are needing, and how to unlock that knowledge, as well as the implementation on that on products such as the Expand product, and great insights into how to utilise that for the best for our customers and for our business. So lots of stuff to do. No end, Kate, of use cases that people come to me every single day with an idea. So certainly a never-ending pipeline of activity in that space, and lots of exciting ideas coming from our employees as well as industry abroad. And the technology is moving so quickly that who knows what it's going to look like in the next couple of years, but very exciting for sure.
And on that, I imagine with all the work you've already undertaken, I was curious how your team have responded to the changes, and potentially customers as well. It sounds like they've got ideas already for you.
Yeah, the team have got ideas. Our customers have got ideas. Our business partners have got ideas. It's a really interesting balancing act, I think, at the moment. There are a lot of people who might be slightly more risk averse or really worried about governance and making sure that we do things correctly. But on the other hand, they don't want us to miss out on the opportunities for our customers or the business, and really want us to accelerate or probably appropriately move into the adoption of some of that technology. Really interesting balancing act. And it's also, we've got to make sure that we're doing it in the right spaces with the customer in mind, but also a really good eye on risk and governance. So yeah, a tricky situation. So we're doing it in a relatively conservative way. We haven't used AI for a lot of client-facing servicing at the moment. We think that's an area of risk that we're being relatively conservative about. And we've used it for a lot of back-end organisational enablement is a good way to think about it, and unlocking some of the value of the data. So really getting some great data insights into how customers consume our products, or user behaviour and those types of activities. Relatively conservative. The superannuation and financial planning industry is a really important aspect for society, and we need to be treating it as such and adopting things appropriately because of that. Yeah, probably slowly, but certainly very deliberately.
After everything we've discussed today, is there anything you wanted to add or touch on at all?
Big subject, lots of different ways we could go about addressing it. Very exciting. It's an exciting time for technology. It's seen as a real key enabler at the moment, which is really good. And I think especially around AI, probably different to previous technologies that I've seen. It's certainly available more readily to the community, and it's certainly changing our customers and our people's approaches to it. Other technologies like blockchain a few years ago, slightly different adoption because it's not on people's phones per se, ChatGPT and these types of services are. It's certainly getting a lot more discussion in broader society than anything I've seen before, which is fantastic, but at the same time it's also challenging balancing the needs and the risk, and also some of the value that can really be unlocked from it, and managing people's expectations. Exciting but challenging all at the same time.
Thanks so much again for joining us today on the IT News podcast.
Thanks, Kate. Great to talk to you.
That's all we have time for this episode, but please let us know what you think by reviewing the IT News podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts from. And for all the latest headlines and happenings in Australian technology news, visit itnews.com.au.